Hi there, welcome to Module K, communicating with an animal who has passed. Some people think that to communicate with an animal, or even a person for that matter, who is no longer in the physical can be daunting. How do you connect? What do you look for? For some reason, speaking with these beings seems to be really easy for me. And I believe it's because the being no longer has the physical barrier between me and them. They are just there. So they're non-corporeal. They're not located in this time-space reality. They can walk through walls. They can float on the ceiling, and very often they do. They can essentially be any place they want to be. So if we ask them to be with us, they come. The spirit is much larger than the physical presence we have on this earth. As a result, it can be many places at once, and probably in multiple time dimensions and time frames. When it leaves the body, there is no longer a physical point of focus that we know of. So I find it easy to consider that they are everywhere in the non-physical. And if I get right down to it, that's probably happening even when we are in a physical body. It's just harder for me personally to wrap my head around that little concept. You mean I could be here in Colorado in 2018 and the rest of me, my spirit, can be somewhere else, maybe back in the 80s, or maybe cruising around on the Starship Enterprise with Mr. Spock? That's a lot to think about. So sometimes when an animal passes, depending upon the way they passed and if there was an illness or something they were focused on while here, they may need to rest for a while before they can have a lengthy conversation. Most, however, in my experience, have enough energy to at least say, I'm okay, I'm resting, I'll get back to you. If they've spent a lot of time in the physical hanging on because their caretaker was having difficulty letting go, they may be pretty tired. It takes a lot of work to hang on when the spirit wants to let go of the body. But they do that for us. They will put aside their needs for ours, especially if we'll learn something from it along the way. I've talked with a lot of people who want to connect with an animal who's passed because they have some sort of guilt around either how the animal passed or how long they were asked to hang on before passing. Some wonder if they sent their animal to the next life too soon. Some realize they weren't doing their pet a service by going above and beyond to keep them alive, and they feel terrible about it. They're so guilty. What I want you to know is that the animals are never angry or vindictive about that. They don't care if their stay was too long or if it was cut short. It's all about the lessons. As I mentioned before, they find it much easier to let go of their body than we do. So all we have to do is listen. And if they need a request for help, then we do it. Sometimes it's nice to have a talk with an animal before they pass so that the caretaker can have a conversation with them before they die and say their final goodbyes. And sometimes people will ask you to do that for them. Sometimes they get to say their goodbyes after they've passed as well. You know, maybe something happened. I had I talked with some people over the weekend, last weekend. Their dog had run away, disappeared, and then was found. It had been hit by a car. And they felt terrible because they weren't in town, but the animal was a long conversation. The bottom line was the animal didn't want them there. And the animal needed to let go of her body. She was done with that body because she was always scared and always, she had learned what she needed to learn. So they had an opportunity to say goodbye to their dog and to learn that she will be back. She told them that, 3 or 4 times. Sometimes they don't say that, but she was adamant that she wanted to be with them again and that she would be back. It doesn't help that much, I think, in the moment, but over time, it is a comfort. So, when you're going to start working with your animals, you want to do the whole process you've done before. You want to go through your grounding and centering exercise, the one that works best for you. You want to open your heart and ask that the communication be for the highest and best good of all involved. Ask that you be the clearest channel possible for the animal releasing any of your blocks or preconceived notions that you may have. Feel the energy signature in the vibrational space, and then invite that animal to join you. Again, you could be conversing, you will be conversing generally with the animal's caretaker, which makes it a three-way call, but the connection with the animal really shouldn't be different. You're just going to be interpreting what he's saying and speaking with the caretaker. And I kind of like it when there's all that back and forth. These conversations will be just like the ones you got when the animal was living. The only difference you might feel is that there could be more joy, and the animal will feel lighter. They generally have a huge sense of humor. Even the ones who are very serious in the physical life, they seem to lighten up. They think it's fun to float on the ceiling and drive any of their animal friends they left behind crazy, and they do that. Because, of course, those animals can see them and feel it. So can we, if we're open to it? I often don't see them except maybe sometimes out of the corner of my eye, but for the most part I don't. However, Wilma, who passed in October, we've had many lifetimes together. So if Lily's my teacher, Wilma was my best friend. And since she's passed, I have felt her so many times here in the physical. I was on a podcast with somebody, she was interviewing me, and she asked me, they were talking about animals that had passed. So I started talking about Wilma, and just for fun, I said, Wilma, would you like to join us? And just like that, I felt her. She just went whoosh. I mean, she was right here, right by my right shoulder, which is kind of cool because I actually have a tattoo on my back of Wilma, her face, and I don't know why I did it, but it was just something, it was like she was compelling me to do this. But that's where she came, right to my right shoulder, and that's where she usually shows up. So I could sense her. And what I could sense was her head and her neck and her front legs. And then everything behind that was kind of like not really there. It was like floating. And when I looked, I couldn't see her. But energetically, oh, she was so there. She was so present. It was a really wonderful feeling. So if you have a beloved animal who has passed, you can get into your animal communication mode and then ask the animal to join you. See what happens. Even when they're completely on the other side, not wandering around looking for the light, they can be here when we ask them. So conversations you have with animals who have passed will go the same way as when they're in a body. You may hear words, you may get pictures, you may feel emotions. The animal is often ready to help their person learn and grow, and it's you if you're talking to one of your animals. So the conversations can be esoteric. Just roll with what you get. Be curious, be open, and have fun. Our animal friends who've gone before us have really interesting insights about this thing we call life. And they can be very helpful if we're stuck on a problem. Ask them for help, for they often see things from a perspective that we miss completely. It really can be helpful to have our angel animals with us. And share what you find on the Facebook page. So just remember, the energy is the same, it's just in a different form, because there's no physical body between you and the energy. It may be easier to access. Go through your whole grounding and centering process and enjoy speaking with the animals who have gone before us and who only want to help us be the best that we can be.